Hare Krishna. Today is Thursday, 7th of August, 2025. And we're live streaming still from Radhakund. And yesterday was the Tirabhav of Srila Rupa Goswami, the principal voice piece of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So today I'm going to speak something about Rupa Goswami and offer a Pushpanjali. Agyan Timirandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Gurave Gaura Chandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadabhaktaya Namo Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Shtapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swavadantikam Adadinastranam Dantya Idam Yache Puna Puna Srimad Rupa Padamboja Dulishyam Janma Janmanaha Janmani Priya Sarupe, Daita Sarupe, Prema Sarupe, Sahajabi Rupe, Nijana Rupe, Pabueka Rupe, Tatana Rupe, Swavilasa Rupe Anapita Chirim Chirat Kuranai Bharatanokalo Samarpaitam Unnata Ujvala Rasam Swabhakti Shriyam Haripurata Sundara Rudikatam Basadipita Sada Hridare Kandare Spuratu Vasachinandanaha Yam Pravajantam Anapetyam Apetya Krityam Dvaipaino Viraha Katara Achuhava Putreti tam matayo taravo vinedustam sarvabhutam hridim munimanatoshmi Bhaktya vihina aparada lakshay shiptasya karmadi taranga maharye Kripamayi tvam sharanam prapana Brinde namaste charanarabindham Bhajami radham aravinda netram Smarami radham madhurashmitasyam Vadami radham karuna bharadram Tato mamanasti katina kapi Tavaivasmi najivami tvaivina Iti vignaya radhe tvam nayavam charantikam. And first of all, offering millions and millions of Bhagavad pranams unto the lotus feet of my most beloved Gurudev Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarasara Shishimad Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And I'm offering the same again, millions and millions of times, unto the lotus feet of our beloved Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarasara Shishimad Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And I'm offering the same again to our dear most beloved Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. And today in particular, I'm offering to my Dandavat pranams to Srila Rupa Goswami Pad and to all our Rupa Nuga Guru Varg, and to all the Vaishnav and Vaishnavi devotees of the Lord, my Dandavat pranams to all of you. Avancha kalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhuvevacha patitanam pavnebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So as I just said, yesterday was the Tirabhav Mahotsav of Srila Rupa Goswami Pad. Such a special day, such a sacred day yesterday. My Gurudev would regularly hold 3 or 4 day festivals celebrating the teachings and personality and movements of this most prominent personality in our line, Rupa Goswami. So I think it's quite appropriate that today I take this opportunity and offer some Pushpanjali to Srila Rupa Goswami. We continuing our Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is manifesting from the pen of Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, who received the knowledge from Raghunath Das Goswami, who was associating intimately with Srila Rupa Goswami. So all the way down the line, everything is in one package, so to speak, under the auspices of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he manifests in this world to taste prem, to taste the prem
of Sri Radhika. And his desire is to give the conditioned jivas service to Sri Radhika. This is the gift of Mahaprabhu, to give service to Sri Radhika. And he does this principally through his greatest general, we can say, Rupa Goswami. Rupa, Sanatan, Jiva Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, they were all fulfilling this manobishtam. And it's saying that Sri Chaitanya manobishtam shtapitam jina bhutale swayam rupa kadamayam dadati swam padantikam. So this prayer is a prayer to appreciate the Narottam Das Thakur is writing this to give honor to Srila Rupa Goswami. He was the one who knew the heart and mind of Sachinandan Gaurahari. He knew the manobishtam, that means his very heart, he knew Rupa Goswami. And we are also praying for those same moods that Rupa Goswami is giving in his teachings all the way through our line. So there are so many truths to speak about Rupa Goswami. So many times we chant this beautiful verse. Daily I'm chanting this verse in the Mangalacharya. Priya Sarupe, Daita Sarupe. Priya Sarupe means dear to Swarup Damodar. Priya Swarupe, dear to Swarup Damodar. Swarup Damodar is who in Krishna Leela? Is none other than Lalita Sakhi. So this verse is written by Kavi Kanpur. Kavi Kanpur is writing this verse in glorification of Rupa Goswami. So Priya Swarupe, Daita Swarupe. This Daita means very dear to him. That means Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Rupa Goswami was so dear. They met first time in 1515 in Ramkeli. Mahaprabhu was on his way at that time to Vrindavan. He didn't go to Vrindavan because Sanatana Goswami cautioned him, it's not good to go to Vrindavan with a huge number of followers. And he spoke to him at about this same time. But prior to that directive, we can say, from Sanatana Goswami, he met with the two brothers very, very briefly, practically a short space of time, 10, 15, 20 minutes, because Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami were working for the Nawab of Hussain, Nawab Hussain of Bengal. He was the king of Bengal, the Muslim ruler. And he employed these two luminaries. He could see astrologically that they would bring great benefit to his kingdom, he was told. So he called Sanatana Goswami Sarika Malik, which actually means small king. Sarik Malik means small king, so he was like the prime minister or president. And Debrakash was Rupa Goswami, which means private secretary. So this was their positions in the Muslim kingdom. And Mahaprabhu, on his way north, came through specifically Ramkeli to see the two brothers. He'd heard about them, they had communicated with him. The two brothers would regularly hold Vaishnava Sangha, even while they were working for the Muslims. But it was permitted by the Muslims at that time. So when Mahaprabhu came there, Rupa and Sanatana were concerned that it might make a problem for Mahaprabhu if his presence became advertised. So it was a very secretive meeting, but nevertheless it was enough to give the spark that both these brothers needed to break free from the clutches of this Muslim ruler. And very shortly after that, Rupa Goswami, he leaves the service of Nawab Hussain Shah, and takes 3 boatloads of treasury away with him, it's described. That were all his, of course. He was gifted all these various treasures, so he took them back, distributed them amongst the Brahmanas, his family, and the Vaishnavas. And this is the sequence, so to speak. And then Rupa Goswami hears that after turning back from his journey to Vrindavan, Mahaprabhu returns back to Puri. He sees Raghunath Das on the way. It's as if he's picking up his main chief preachers, Rupa and Sanatan and Raghunath. So then he comes back to Puri, and after a short space of time, a few months, he again journeys to Vrindavan, but this time through the Jarikanda forest. And he goes through Varanasi for a few days, then he goes on to Prayag for a few days, then he goes to Vrindavan. He stays in Vrindavan about 10 days, then he returns to Prayag. And that's when Rupa Goswami catches up with him in Prayag. And Rupa Goswami receives instructions from Mahaprabhu's lotus lips. Actually, Mahaprabhu describes that he enters the heart of Rupa Goswami. There's a very beautiful verse that describes that at the beginning of the Madhya Lila chapter 19. This Madhya Lila chapter 19 is the beginning of Rup Shiksha in our Chaitanya Charitamrita. So this verse, Vrindavanayam Rasakeli Varatam Kalena Luptam Nija Shaktim Utka Sancharya Rupe Varatanot Punasa Prabhus Vidam Prag Ivaloka Shristam. Very, very beautiful verse. And this means before the creation of this cosmic manifestation, the Lord enlightened the heart of Lord Brahma with the details of the creation and manifested the Vedic knowledge within his heart. The Lord gives this to Lord Brahma. In exactly the same way, the Lord, being anxious to revive the Vrindavan pastimes of Lord Krishna, impregnated the heart of Rupa Goswami with spiritual potency. By this potency, Srila Rupa Goswami could revive the activities of Krishna in Vrindavan, activities almost lost to memory. 8 billion years ago was when they were last broadcast. Mahaprabhu is the most revolutionary incarnation of Krishna. He's bringing direct service, opportunity for service, the gift of service to Sri Radhika. Unheard of. Absolutely unheard of. Do we worship any other Shaktis of any other incarnations previously? When Sita Ram come, do we separately worship Sita? Are there so many descriptions of the glories of Sita? Of course there are some, but nothing like the extensive glories of Radha that we have today. And all the other Shaktis with Nrsingadev, when he comes with Lakshmi Dev, are these Lakshmis glorified? Is that the purpose of those avatars' descent, is to glorify their consorts? No, not in any way. The consorts come and support the principal incarnations, but the consorts are never put principally. But here, in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's role, he's coming himself to fulfill his 3 desires. Shri Radha Krishna Pranaya Mahima. He wants to taste the glories of Radha's love. Swadhyena Buddha Madhurima Kidrisham Madhya. He wants to taste the sweetness of his own love that Radhika perceives in him. This Mahima, Adbhuta Mahima. These astonishing sweet qualities in himself. This is why Mahaprabhu comes. And then the 3rd desire, Swadhyena Adbhuta, Sokyam Kasyam Mad Anubhavita Kitrisham Veti Lobat Tad Bhavadya Samajani Sachigadabo Sindhu Harindu. So he comes to taste the happiness that Sri Radhika experiences by receiving the sweetness of his love. So these three principal desires is the reason for Mahaprabhu's advent. It's all about Sri Radhika. He wants to taste Radhika's greatness. He wants to taste Radhika's qualities. He wants to experience the relish. Radhika has more affection for Krishna than Krishna has for her. It's Radhika who initiates the loving relationship between them. Our whole principal focus of our spiritual journey is to recognize the immense love, the prem of the spiritual world. Inconceivable. We have love in Vaikuntha to a certain degree. We have the four liberations, Salokya, Samipya, Sharsti, Sarupya. These liberations there. But this isn't the love that is tasted in Vaikuntha, is all Aishwarya Bhav. And we know there are 2.5 rasas in Vaikuntha. And then we move up we journey up to Ayodhya. And in Ayodhya, Lord Narayan, for example, in Vaikuntha doesn't have a mother and father. So now we've upgraded to Ayodhya, where Lord Ram has Kaushalya, his mother, Sumitra is there, and Kaikeyi is there, and his 4 brothers are there. So it's like a family rasa that is taking place. So there's more taste in Ayodhya. And then we progress further to Dwarka. And Dwarka is Krishna as the young prince of Dwarka. He's not the king. Ugrasen is the king. And his father there is Vasudeva. So, but nevertheless, Krishna is completely honored there. But it's all still Aishwarya Bhav. All of it Aishwarya Bhav. And prior to Mahaprabhu, there was only Aishwarya Bhav. We've discussed this history many, many times. In Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, there was only conceptions of Krishna being worshipped in a mood of Aishwarya. There was not even a smell of Rag Mag prior to Mahaprabhu's advent. Rag Mag means ultimately Braja Prem. Braja Prem was not on the map practically before Mahaprabhu. Braja Prem is there, it's described in Srimad Bhagavatam. Shukadeva Goswami describes the 5 Geets in Bhagavatam, 10th canto. The Venu Geet, the Pranaya Geet, Gopi Geet, Yugal Geet, Brahmara Geet. And there's also a 6th Geet that Vrindavan Das Thakur talks about, the Viraha Geet, when Krishna is taken away by Akrura to Mathura. So these are there in the Bhagavatam 5,000 years ago. But who could really fathom the depth of the moods and specialities and sweetnesses in Vrindavan at that time, 5,000 years ago, without the mercy of Rupa Goswami? Because the principal element or mood is Parakiya Bhav. Without this Parakiya Bhav, there can be no Braja Prem. Parakiya Bhav is the principle of Braja Leela. Parakiya is the most sacred ras, and materially this is condemned, that a married woman should go with a young man in the forest at night. So a whole change of consciousness has to take place to accommodate this in a dharmic mind. For example, the Ramanujas, who are very dharmic, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati took many teachings from them. They could not begin to accommodate this Parakiya Ras. Nimbarka also. So the Sampradayas couldn't really accommodate this. But it's only due to Rupa Goswami completely that he describes this Parakiya Ras in such exceptional, beautiful details. And this is what Mahaprabhu has come to gift. He's come to give the gift of service to Radhika. Rupa Goswami, he writes in his Vidagdha Madhav in the introduction, Anarpita chirim chirat kuruna varatino kalo samarapaitam unnata ujvala rasam swa bhakti shriyam. This swa bhakti shriyam, Krishna's own bhakti, the beauty of Krishna's bhakti, is what Mahaprabhu has come to distribute. This is so revolutionary. It's so exceptional. And Rupa Goswami is that person who is most qualified. I was saying this beautiful verse before, Priya Swarup, Daita Swarup, most dear to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Then Prem Swarup, he's the embodiment of Mahaprabhu's ecstasies, his ecstatic prem. Rupa Goswami is the embodiment of that prem. Sahajabi Rup, he's so beautiful himself. He exemplifies the beauty of the Brijvasis. Nirjana Rupe, Prabhu Eka Rupe. He is most qualified to explain these teachings. Tatana Rupe, Swavilasa Rupe. He's so qualified to explain all these teachings. And Swavilasa Rupe. So he's most qualified to describe the pastimes, Swavilasa Rupe. He's most qualified to describe these pastimes. So these are exceptional qualities that Rupa Goswami possesses by nature, because he's the first Manjari of Sri Radhika. He's Rupa Manjari. This is the closest Manjari to Radhika. No one has the same intimacy completely as Rup Manjari does with Radhika. She is Radhika's life and soul. Radhika herself says this. There was a time when Radhika was with all her Sakhis. They were coming through the forest to meet with Krishna near Kusum Sarovar, and they were barefoot. They would always go barefoot, and Radhika suddenly winced at a thorn going into her foot, her lotus foot. And instantly, without hesitation, Rupa Goswami understood and dived to her lotus feet. And with her lips, she pulls out that thorn from Sri Radhika's lotus feet. So this is just a spontaneous example, and there are millions that we hear these descriptions by Rupa Goswami himself and by so many, by Sanatan Goswami or Lavanga Manjari and Raghunath Das Goswami. They're all describing the specialities of the closeness, the intimacy of Rupa Manjari with Radhika. And this is what Mahaprabhu has come to distribute. He's come to distribute the gift of service to Sri Radhika. Don't doubt it. Don't doubt it for a second. He hasn't come to give Shuddha Bhakti. Advaita Acharya will give Shuddha Bhakti quite competently. Nityananda also will support that. But both will point in the direction that the highest welfare for the jiva is with Gaura Mahaprabhu. So Rupa Goswami's glories are completely endless. How does he do this? How is he able to teach all these most confidential truths? First of all, he teaches from Shraddha to Prem, Ado Shraddha, Tata, Sadhusanga, etc. He preaches the stages all the way to Prem. And then he teaches what is Bhav Bhakti, Kriti Sadhya, Bhavet Sadhya Bhav, Sasadhanabhida. These are all quotes from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu that Rupa Goswami has delineated how to begin the process approach this monumental gift with humility. He describes there are three types of sadhana: bhav bhakti, prema bhakti, and sadhana bhakti, bhav bhakti, and prema bhakti. Klesha Agni Shubhada describes sadhana bhakti. Moksha Lahuta Krit Sudurlabha describes bhav bhakti. Sandra Ananda Visheshatma Prem Sri Krishna Akashani Chasa. This is describing prema bhakti. And Rupa Goswami, he describes very closely, if we don't focus on bhav bhakti, our sadhana bhakti is like zero, because what are you trying to attain if you're practicing sadhana bhakti according to the rules and regulations, Vaidhi bhakti, without a focus on bhav bhakti? What will be your benefit ultimately? Mahaprabhu has come to break this Aishwarya conception of the Lord. He's completely that Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. He has all Aishwarya within him, but he also has the immense Madhurya to distribute. He's come to distribute this Madhurya Prem, particularly Braja Prem. So this is all the teachings of Rupa Goswami alone. Mahaprabhu gave us 8 verses of Shikshastakam, Chaitodapana Marjanam, etc. How to chant. What are the glories of chanting? What is the benefits of chanting? How victorious is this chanting? He gave us the process, Trinada Pistunichena. And then he gave us the method to actually attain that humility. I don't want followers, I don't want name, fame, unmotivated focus. He's giving us this in the 4th verse of Shikshastakam. And then the 5th verse, Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram, Patitam Bam Vishvam Bhagavamado. He again, now Mahaprabhu has changed his identity completely to Mahaprabhu has come, he's Krishna himself, but he's carrying the bhav and kanti of Sri Radhika. He has that desire to taste the speciality of Radha's love for him. When Radhika is in separation from Krishna, she practically goes mad. She'll see a tamal tree, run and embrace it. She'll roll in the dust when she sees a peacock feather. She goes in this such a high state of consciousness in separation from Krishna. I wonder who those 2 men were that Jai brought in with him. Yeah, just find out. Yeah. So, yes, so Radhika's separation prem, her mood. Mahaprabhu, Krishna himself, he doesn't experience the same depth of separation the way that Radhika does. He wants to know what it is in himself that creates that tremendous madness of love. So he's come to taste this himself, and he's come to give the conditioned jivas service to Radhika. He himself is performing service to Radhika, and he's coming to give us that service to Radhika. And the highest service ultimately is Manjari Bhav. Okay. So, this is the fundamental point. And then, now describing the glories of Rupa Goswami, we start to scroll through the stages of what is prem. Prem is sneha, man, pranaya, rag, anurag, bhav, mahabhav, ruta, adiruda, madanakya mahabhav, or mohanakya mahabhav. All of these stages Rupa Goswami has described explicitly in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, every single stage. And he's particularly describing the moods of the Gopis Prem. The Gopis Prem is the supreme Prem. He goes through 3 stages in his descriptions of Sadarani Rati, which is the Rati or Bhav of Kubja, which is not really so deep, but it's still mentioned. He mentions everything. He covers all bases, so to speak. And then he mentions Samanjasa Rati. This is the Rati of the queens of Dwarka. And then he talks about Samartha Rati, this Rati, this Bhav, that has the ability to control Krishna. Krishna comes under the control of the gopis. How are we going to explain this first time in? Mahaprabhu wants to give this Braja Prem. It's been described in the Bhagavatam to some degree. The Rasa Leela is described there, and how Krishna leaves the Rasa Leela and he goes away just with Radhika. But Shukadev never mentions the name Radhika in the whole of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Her name is not mentioned, because if he did mention her name, he would go into too much ecstasy and faint. But these truths are there, but who will understand them? Who will be able to? Jayadev Goswami, we've said so many times, writes the Gita Govinda, most beautiful pastimes in Braj, but he doesn't capture the essence of Krishna's being controlled by Radhika, because he can't pronounce that verse, Smaragarala Kandana, Mama Sirasi Mandana, Deha Padapalapam Udaram. He can't pronounce that verse. I think I said yesterday or the day before that Krishna is putting his crown, peacock feather crown, and his flute at the lotus feet of Sri Radhika. And Jayadev Goswami couldn't write that. He was a great, great mystic sadhu, was Jayadev Goswami. Tremendously advanced poet. So beautiful moods would come from his heart, but he didn't have this ability to understand the power that the gopis can control Krishna. Krishna willingly comes under their control through the power of their love. So this Samartha Rati completely controls Krishna. So then Rupa Goswami, for the sadhaks, for us, he's describing methodically, one step at a time. First of all, I just described what are the stages to prem. And then what is Bhav Bhakti? It's Kriti Sadhya Bhavet Sadhya Bhav Sasadanavida. What is Bhakti first? Anya Bilasita Shunyam Jnana Karamadi Anavritam Anukulena Krishnanu Shilanam Bhakti Uttama. This is Uttam Bhakti. So these conceptions, freed from all Gyan and Karma, were never clearly described prior to Rupa Goswami. It's Rupa Goswami who gives all of this. And this wealth, this treasure chest emanating from the heart that Mahaprabhu has entered of Srila Rupa Goswami is funneling down through our Guru Varga. All these personalities coming after Rupa Goswami. This is why we are called the Rupanuga line. Rupanuga, followers of Rupa Goswami. So, what is Bhav Bhakti? Then what is Prem? Shuddha Sattva Visheshatma, Prem Suryavam Sabak, Ruchi Vischita Vishnu, Shud Ashud, Bhaj Uchyate. Bhav Uchyate. This is Prem, is described. Bhav is the ray of the sun of Prem. It's the first beginning of Prem. And then this Prem is opened out again further by Rupa Goswami, particularly in his Ujjvala Nilamani. All these books, they are such treasures. This is the heart of our Gaudiya line that I'm describing. It's all the aspects that give our Gaudiya line potency. This is Sri Radhika's line. Sri Radhika always wants the complete satisfaction of Krishna. Her whole heart is just spent in contemplating how to satisfy Krishna's calm, it's described. Krishna's desire for romantic engagement, Krishna's desire for bhav, Krishna's desire for prem. How can Radhika do that? In every single instance, in all of Krishna's manifestations, all his incarnations, Lakshmi Devi is there supporting. But in this incarnation of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Gadadhar comes, who is completely Radhika, but he is not engaging in the same way as a female will engage. The female of Radhika is within the heart of Mahaprabhu, internally. That indicates this path is an internal path. I think I said this yesterday also. It's a confidential, internal realization of these truths. And it should not be breached. It should not be thrown out in the public market. Because people who are ignorant of Shastra will just make a whole mess of it, as they've already done. They describe Krishna as being a debauchee in Vrindavan. That's as far as they can actually think. They're happy to pick up on something in a contaminated way. Because if they haven't taken these teachings of Rupa Goswami, they can never ever understand what is prem. What's that prem? Sarvata Dvamsikarinam Yadyapi Dvamsakarine Yad Bhava Bandhanam Yuno Sa Prem Parikirtita. This is a description by Rupa Goswami of what is prem. When the young lovers, any kind of obstacle, it won't break their love. Krishna goes to Dwarka for 100 years. Radhika's love increases, in fact, in a separation mood. It cannot deteriorate. This is prem in itself. So, Mahaprabhu has manifested himself in the heart of Rupa Goswami and inspired these remarkable transcendental literatures that we as serious sadhaks must study. This Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. In particular, the Vidagdha Madhav and Lalit Madhav. This Vidagdha Madhav and Lalit Madhav, initially Rupa Goswami was going to describe them both in one book. But we know the pastime in Satyampur, the place of Satya Devi. Krishna's queen, Satyabhama, in Dwarka. So at Satyabhampur, when Rupa Goswami was traveling to Puri, she appeared in a dream and told him not to write the Lalit Madhav, which is about Dwarka, and the Vidagdha Madhav in the same volume, but to make two separate volumes. And then again, Mahaprabhu, he says exactly the same thing when Mahaprabhu comes to Puri. So Rupa Goswami understands fully. He doesn't mix the two, because Vidagdha Madhav is only about Vrindavan, and Lalit Madhav is only about Dwarka. But these are immense topics. These topics have never been opened out prior to Mahaprabhu. So all of Rupa Goswami's teachings, they open out the glories of Mahaprabhu. They're all the glories of Mahaprabhu. This is why we glorify Rupa Goswami so extensively. They're all the glories of Mahaprabhu. All these glories are contained in the Srimad Bhagavatam. In the Paribhasya verse, the essential verse of the Bhagavatam, ete kamsa kalapumsam Krishna stu bhagavam swayam. This is confirming that Krishna is that supreme personality of Godhead. He's more supreme than Shivji. He's more supreme than even Lord Ram, Nrsingadeva, it's all the other incarnations. He's the supreme incarnation, personality, is Krishna, Brajendranandan Shyam Sundar Krishna. So all Bhagavatam is filled with these descriptions ultimately revealed in the 10th canto. But how can we have entrance into those truths without the teachings of Rupa Goswami, particularly in the case of Parakiya Bhav, to actually put this in a respectful perspective. It's described that the Arundhati, Savitra, all the highest heavenly goddesses, Anasuya, who are so exemplary, chaste, perfect ladies in the higher celestial worlds, they are all looking for the dust of Sri Radhika's lotus feet. If there was any problem with this Parakiya Ras, you think such dharmic, exemplary personalities would come for the dust of Sri Radhika's lotus feet? She is, but the idea, because it comes against our dharmic nature, the material dharmic nature. Krishna is carrying us across this material conception of dharma. The gopis themselves, they transgress all dharma, and they're proclaimed as the highest worshippers of Krishna. We've just described it in the 4th chapter of this Chaitanya Charitamrita, that we are in the anugatya of this Gopi Bhav. We are following in their foot because they have the highest prem that satisfies Krishna the most. Prem means to satisfy the Lord. What does love mean? It means you fully satisfy that personality through your service. And the gopis are most certainly doing that to the highest degree. Even Krishna, he returns after he's left them in the Rasa Leela. Na paryeham niravadya samyujam svasadu kritvam vivurisyapicha ya mabajan durja keha shrinkala sangvishchaya tadvat partiyatu sadhana. He says, I cannot repay you for your excellent, immaculate service to me, not even in a lifetime of Lord Brahma. Lifetime of Lord Brahma is billions, trillions of years. Krishna is saying he can't repay them. He doesn't say this to anybody else. If we have attraction and affection for Krishna, we should obviously look for those people who he's most inclined to. And he's most inclined to the gopis prem. So we have sadhan bhakti is described, pure bhakti is described, bhav bhakti is described. And we understand Rupa Goswami, he's not the prem acharya. Raghunath Das is that prayojan acharya. Sanatan Goswami is the sambandha acharya. Rupa Goswami is the abhideya acharya. He is showing us how the practical path, he's showing us directly the practical path to achieve this gift that Mahaprabhu wants to give. And we are obviously eligible if we're hearing about these topics, especially if we hear them from a Mahabhagavat Guru, like my Gurudev. My Gurudev is a Manjari in that world. All our Guru Varga are all Manjaris in that world. They are all in service to Sri Radhika. It's Radhika's gift to the world. It's Krishna's gift to the world. He's come to give this treasure of service to Sri Radhika. And who can give that treasure except the Manjaris? because they have so much attraction for Radhika. They are her most intimate Sakis, Manjaris. 5 types of Sakis. All this Rupa Goswami has described. The Saki. Then there's Nitya Saki, Pran Saki, Priya Saki, Priya Nam Saki. These 5 Sakis. And 3 of them have a mood of Sambhog, Ichamai. Sambhog means union. They are qualified to have direct union with Krishna. These are the Sakis, the Priya Sakis and the Priya Nam Sakis. They can have direct union with Krishna. But the Nitya Sakis and the Pran Sakis, they have a mood called Tat Tat Bhav Ichamai. That means they become one with Radhika in their service as Manjaris. In their service exclusively focused on bringing pleasure and support in every way to Radhika. These pastimes, when we read Vidagdha Madhav by Rupa Goswami, they describe the fragility, the sensitivity, the subtleness of their exchanges and meetings. It requires a lot of backup, so to speak. It requires the services of the Sakis to bring Radha and Krishna together. It requires the Manjaris to support, like her shadow, wherever she goes, whatever she does, the Manjaris are always there. Like I've just described that pastime, she gets a thorn in her lotus foot, and immediately Rupa Manjari takes that out with her lips. Radhika says, "You are my life, you are my heart, you have given everything just for me." So this relationship that they have with Sri Radhika is what Mahaprabhu has come to give the conditioned jivas. It's so incredible. So this abhideya is the practical means to achieve the prayojan. Prayojan is given by Raghunath Das. Raghunath Das personally spent practically 14 years directly with Swarup Damodar, living with Swarup Damodar in Puri under the guidance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Puri. So he knows, he was witness to all the Ashtasattvika Bhav transformations of Mahaprabhu. He saw all of this. And it was lodged in his heart. And he shares all of this with Srila Krishna's Kaviraj. So he is qualified by Mahaprabhu to give the jivas the prayojan tattva. And he's given that in the form of Vilap Kusumanjali, his Dan Keli pastimes, Brajabilas Stava, Mana Shiksha. There are so many books supportive of this prayojan tattva given by Raghunath Das. But the abhideya, the methodology, the means, is principally given by Rupa Goswami, and principally in his Upadeshamrita. In his Upadeshamrita, in the first 3 verses, it's how to control the mind and the senses, Racho Vegam, Manasakroda Vegam, and then the second one, quickly. Upadeshamrita. Yeah, someone can tell me. Oh, Atyahara Prayasyascha. But yes, Varsha again. Thank you, Varsha. Second time you say it. And then it's describing Utsaha Nischayat Daryat. These 3 verses in the beginning, they give us a foundation for the final 11th verse of taking shelter of Radha Kund. So if we look at Upadeshamrita, we can see it's in 4 divisions. There are 3 verses describing the control or the moods of the sadhak. Atyahara prayasyascha prajalpa niyamagraha, and then utsaha nischayat daryat, tat tat bhav, pravartana. So, and then we come to 3 verses in service to the Vaishnavas, Dadati Pragnati Guyam. So it's like in sections, 3, 3, and then there's 2 verses in the middle, 7 and 8. Krishneti Yasya Giri Maham. This is the 7th verse, and then the 8th verse, principally, which is the verse I'm coming to, which is Tannama Rupa Charitadi Sukirtano, Smritya Kramana Rasnama Sidyoje, Tistem Braje Tanuragi Janugami, Kalam Nayam Akilam Iti Upadesharam. This is the essence of all advice. Srila Rupa Goswami plants it right in the middle of his Upadeshamrita. And one should take shelter of the holy name of the Lord in hearing his pastimes, and particularly of the Brijabasis. This Brajetishtam Anuragi, the Brijabasis. Who are the Brijabasis? The Brijabasis are the Brajaramanis, the gopis of Vrindavan, principally. Of course, there is Sakya Ras there to its fullest extent, Vatsalya Ras is there to its fullest extent. But this Madhurya or Sringara Prem, only Rupa Goswami has explicitly mapped this out for us. I have a very beautiful translation of all of these terminologies, and it was written by Bhakti Hriday Bon Maharaj. Bhakti Hriday Bon Maharaj, very elevated disciple of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. He wrote this Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu in English. He's given us a beautiful English version of this Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And in the beginning of this, in the introduction, I'll send to you, we have a 14-page description of all of the stages to Prem, and then the stages after Prem. What is the meaning of Man, Pranaya, Rag, Anurag, Bhav, etc.? What is the meaning of Sadarani? What is the meaning of Samanjasaha? What is the meaning of Samartharati that I've already described? So all of these teachings, only Rupa Goswami has been qualified to give. Without Rupa Goswami, Yang Kali Rira Sahira Darata, this beautiful verse that Madhava sings, Yang Kali Rupa Sarira Darata. What would we do without Rupa Goswami? How could we have gone forward without Rupa Goswami? There's just no way that that could have happened. Even when Rupa Goswami, he comes to Puri to meet Mahaprabhu, and he's witnessing the Ratha Yatra, and Mahaprabhu, he's singing a mundane song from the Sahita Darpana, Yat Komaras Hara Saeva Hi Varas Taeva Chaitra Shapas. And nobody could really understand why he was singing this song about a lover on the bank of the Vetasi River. It's not the Jamuna. He's singing a song about the Vetasi River, another place altogether. But Rupa Goswami, he understood Mahaprabhu's heart again. And he writes the next day a beautiful parallel verse to this song that Mahaprabhu was chanting during the Ratha Yatra. He sings Priya Soham Krishna Sachari Kuru Chaitras Militas. And this is describing the speciality of this song, but in a mood of Vrindavan, no longer I just find it really too. So this song that Mahaprabhu is singing, it's described that very personality who stole my heart during my youth is now again my master. Mahaprabhu is singing this. These are the same moonlit nights in the month of Chaitra. The same fragrance of malati flowers is there, and the same sweet breezes are blowing from the Kadamba forest in our intimate relationship. I am also the same lover, yet still my mind is not happy here. I am eager to go back to that place on the bank of the river of the Reva, under the Vatasi tree. That is my desire. So this is the verse that's recited by Mahaprabhu. So it's the Reva, on the bank of the Reva river. I think I got it confused with the Vitasi. Vitasi is a tree. But it's not Vrindavan. But it's a mood that Mahaprabhu was carrying in his heart, like Vrindavan. And then Rupa Goswami, he writes, opening that same verse out, "My dear friend, now I have met my very old and dear friend Krishna on this field of Kurukshetra." Because Rath Yatra is only about the meeting between the Brijbasis and Krishna when he's in Dwarka, and they're bringing Krishna back from Dwarka on the chariot of their minds to Vrindavan. This is what the whole Rath Yatra festival actually is about. The gopis are unhappy that Krishna should be there with all his kings and the elephants and his army and such an Aishwarya mood, and they want to bring him back to the sweetness with his flute and peacock feather in Vrindavan. So they, with their minds and the strength of their love, they are pulling him back to Vrindavan. So this Rath Yatra festival is about going from the temple, Jagannath Mandir, to the Gundicha. The Gundicha represents Vrindavan. This is what it's about, going back to Vrindavan. So this is why Mahaprabhu was singing this. And Rupa Goswami, he says, he said like this, "My dear friend, I have met my very old and dear friend on this field of Kurukshetra. I am the same Radharani, and now we are meeting together. It is very pleasant, but I would still like to go to the bank of the Jamuna, beneath the trees and forest there. I wish to hear the vibration of his sweet flute playing the fifth note within the forest of Vrindavan." Imagine Rupa Goswami, he understands so deeply the heart of Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu is relishing this Braja Prem in his heart. And only Swarup Damodar understands this, Lalita Sakhi, and Rupa Goswami. Only these two understand. Advaita Acharya doesn't understand. Nityananda doesn't understand. What is Mahaprabhu? Why is he singing this? It's not their position to understand. It's not their position for this lila to understand. So there are so many incredible teachings of Rupa Goswami, and principally about the beauty of the holy name. He describes Tunde Tandarani Ratim Vidnate Tundavali Labdaya. One very, very beautiful verse. And this means, I do not know how much nectar the two syllables Krishna have produced. When the holy name of Krishna is chanted, it appears to dance within my mouth. We then desire many, many mouths. When that name enters the holes of the ears, we desire many millions of ears. And when the holy name dances in the courtyard of the heart, it conquers the activities of the mind, and therefore all the senses become inert. Rupa Goswami is revealing this verse and many other verses in an assembly at the Siddha Bakul tree. Rupa Goswami is staying with Haridas Thakur in Puri at the Siddha Bakul tree. And Mahaprabhu, after he saw this verse about this Priya Soham, this verse I've just read, then he wanted to see other writings of Rupa Goswami in the company of all the other devotees, Ramananda Roy, Nityananda, Advaita Acharya, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Vakrishra Pandit, all these senior-most, topmost Haridas Thakur, topmost devotees were hearing these truths coming from the writings of Rupa Goswami, spoken by Rupa Goswami in that assembly, and they were all stunned. They hadn't, it seems, appreciated as significantly as Rupa Goswami had the purpose and intention of Mahaprabhu's advent, why he has come. And all these verses, through especially the Vidagdha Madhav, these are the verses that really melt the heart of the devotees now. For example, I'm going to read a little bit from Vidagdha Madhav. This is from Vidagdha. "Oh, beautiful one, the artistic loveliness of your picture is now impressed within my mind." This is Radhika speaking. "Since you are now living within my mind, Wherever I wish to run, because I am agitated by impressions of you, I find that you, my friend, are blocking my way. He goes on so much. Sri Radhika says to her constant companion, Vishaka, my dear friend, if Krishna is unkind to me, there will be no need for you to cry, for it will not be due to any fault of yours. I shall then have to die, but afterwards please do one thing for me, to observe my funeral ceremony. Place my body with its arms embracing a tamal tree like creepers, so that I may remain forever in Vrindavan undisturbed. This is my last request. These truths have never, ever manifested. It is Rupa Goswami who is manifesting these for this whole conception, not only of Madhurya, but of the sweetest Shringara, the sweetest relationship of the gopis' prem for Krishna. Madhurya is one realm of sweetness, but then the gopis' prem for Krishna is just completely unexcelled. It's described that Krishna is describing again in Vidagdha Madhav, upon hearing of my cruelty in ignoring her, moon-faced Radharani may establish some kind of tolerance in her aggrieved heart, but then she might turn against me, or indeed, being fearful of the lusty desires invoked by the bow of formidable Cupid, she might even give up her life. Alas, I have foolishly uprooted the soft creeper of her desire, just when it was ready to bear fruit. All these verses are mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita. I've taken all this from the Antya Lila chapter 1. It begins the Rup Shiksha pastimes on Antya Lila, Madhya Lila 19. Then there are 5 chapters about Sanatan Shiksha. And then the first chapter of the Antya Lila, the later pastimes of Mahaprabhu, is about these teachings coming from Rupa Goswami. No one has begun to give these teachings the way Rupa Goswami has. So many packed. And then she describes the beauty of Vrindavan. Vrindavan is the backdrop. This is why Rupa Goswami is encouraging us regularly, come to Vrindavan, come to Vrindavan. We have many of these verses about bhajan in Vrindavan. This Krishnam Janam Kasya Preshtam Nija Samihitam Tat Tat Kata Ratat Kasam Kuryad Vasham Rajay Sada. This is again by Rupa Goswami from his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And he's saying one should constantly chant, remember one's dearmost Navakishore, Sri Nandan, and the beloved associates of Krishna, who possess Swajatiya Bhav as oneself. One should remember that devotee's endeavors, one should remember that the devotee's endeavors, his confidential moods, etc., one should always reside in Braj, Dham, with great attachment for hearing topics regarding Krishna and his eternal associates. Rupa Goswami is he's the Abhideya Acharya. We've already said this. So there are many verses from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu describing that. Seva sadak rupena siddha rupena chatrahi tat bhava lipsanam karya braja lokan ashrataha. That sadhak who has developed a greed for Raganuga Bhakti should serve Krishna, both in his sadhak roop and his siddha roop, in accordance with his bhav, in accordance with the bhav of the Brijbasis, who possess the same mood for which he aspires. So all of these indications to come to Vrindavan. There's a beautiful verse here from his Vidagdha Madhav again. He's talking about Vrindavan. This has never been spoken the way he's talking. The sweet, fragrant honey oozing from newly grown mango buds, is again and again attracting groups of bumblebees, and this forest is trembling in the softly moving breezes from the Malaya hills, which are full of sandalwood trees. Thus the forest of Vrindavan is increasing my transcendental pleasure. Krishna is saying this to himself. Where else is any remotely written description of Krishna in this mood? Very, very intimate. And there are so many verses here. This is all in Antya-lila chapter 1. So there are so many verses. When Srimati Radhika smiles, waves of joy flow over her cheeks, and her arched eyebrows dance like the bow of Cupid. Her glance is so enchanting that it is like a dancing bumblebee moving unsteadily due to intoxication. That bee has bitten the whorl of my heart. So Krishna is saying this again in Vidagdha Madhav. So we understand Rupa Goswami's teachings, his moods, his description are almost unlimited. This is why my Gurudev would have 3 or 4 days to glorify Srila Rupa Goswami Pad. I've done a little bit in an hour, but there are so many more glories to Rupa Goswami and his moods. So the devotees should constantly be meditating on Rupa Goswami daily, and refreshing. I've got this document about the 3 meetings of Rupa Goswami and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that I'll post today on our thread, and we'll also post this Bhakti Hriday Bon Maharaj's description of all the different bhavs, etc. So you can absorb over the rest of our lifetimes, the rest of our lives, we should be absorbing ourselves in Srila Rupa Goswami Pad. Srila Rupa Goswami Pad ki jai. Shri Sachinandan Gaurahari ki jai. Ananta Kota Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Rupanuga Guru Varga ki jai. Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol, Itai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol, Gaura Premanande, Hari Bol. Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhuvevicha, Patitanam Pavnebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namaha. I hope I've given sufficient hints and indications of Rupa Goswami's different writings and teachings for us to capitalize more deeply daily on his beauty and speciality. Rupa Goswami Pad ki jai, Go Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.